Eric?
There's been a, he pointed to me first, is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So there's been a couple comments tonight on employees, and as roles of council members, we do not get involved in employees. That is a strict no-no by MRSC and WCIA. The mayor is the boss, and any complaints of staff should go to the mayor, because also we have unions involved, and public does not get involved in those conversations. That becomes through the mayor. So if you have a concern, it should not come to us, it should come to the mayor. So having a public oversight for staff just isn't something that is in our bailiwick, or nor should be with the citizens. If you do have a concern with staff, you would direct that to the mayor, and the mayor follows the appropriate channels to take action if it's deemed that a violation has occurred. So I just wanted to set the record straight. And second, we were elected by the people, at least the majority of us sitting up here, and we are remaining unbiased. And I would hope that you would think that we would come into a meeting unbiased and that we'll listen to your comments. But already tonight, through several of your comments, you've accused us basically of not being ethical and not being to the point where we can be unbiased. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think you give us, it's not funny, you don't give us the benefit of the doubt. I listen. I don't come with my mind made up. I wanted to hear tonight. I wanted to hear conversations tonight. And sometimes when you get into the weeds and you accuse us of being unbiased and not being able to make a rational decision, then that completely throws out what we're trying to accomplish. Part of what started this is we had an ethics complaint based on an emoji that was submitted. That is not an ethics violation. We're going to make this, and third party, kind of where we were heading with that whole third party conversation. If you've witnessed something, that's not third party. You've witnessed it. You don't have to be the person that was a victim of it, but if you were sitting there and you saw that happen, absolutely, you are a witness to that. And part of the thing is if you don't have a witness and it's only a he said, she said, how can we ever, or how can anybody ever come to a decision or a conclusion based on one side says one thing, the other side says another thing, if there's no witness? So, and part of what we were getting when we sat down as ad hoc committee members to go over these ethics violations, we interview people, we ask them questions, we have their statements that they've submitted. And 9 times out of 10, there is no proof. It is a he said, she said. That's where we're trying to get away from. We want proof. We want that conversation to happen. Now, I'm not opposed to holding this for a second reading. I don't know that that was ever our intention. Our intention was to get this out to the public by the end of the year. We said we'd work on it. We are. And we are doing our policy as far as ethics complaints. We finish one, we start the other one. We don't have enough people at this point, considering it's only people that aren't running for election that can serve on them, to handle all of the ethics violations that have come in. So we're asking to grant us a little bit of leeway to be able to go ahead and finish doing those. We have one left to handle, and we'll do it by the end of the year. But give us time, and these changes we've made clarify what our policy is, and we put it in writing so you can see that we will be assigned one at a time. When we are finished doing it, we will move on to the next one. And those changes are to memorialize what we have been working on. And I'm not going to monopolize anymore, but I guess part of me is upset because I feel like here I am being accused of being, I can't be unbiased, and I don't think that's fair.
Rich.
I'm going to tread carefully. I appreciate Mr. Williams and the majority of his comments, and he always has a lot of questions. I am deeply concerned that he has heard something out of an executive session that's supposed to be private. And even worse, based on things he was saying, he didn't hear the correct thing. So I'm not going to discuss what we discussed in executive session, but he was not correct in his summation of what actually happened in there. So once again, I'll remind all council members, we don't talk about what goes on in executive session, because if we are going to start doing that, I've got a lot of things to say. We all have different comprehension levels. The very first word, page 129 of our agenda, under section 9, says, any person, comma. We've talked about, I'm not a resident. We've talked about, I only work here. We've talked about things like that. It says the very first word is any person. So what is it that let's get upset about differences of opinion. Let's not get upset about facts. These ladies did a lot of work here, and some of the audience didn't even read the work that they did and are mad at some of us for just reading this, but it says to be any person. So I don't know why you're mad about, or even would make statements about things that aren't true. Number 2, has been directly involved. Doesn't mean you're the victim. It means you were there. We have had some ethics complaints that were 5th person. 5th person. You know how much fun it was investigating some of those things? Not 1st person, 2nd person, 3rd person, 5th. I think you guys have done a great job. Could we all come behind you and amend some things and throw stones at some of your work? Well, that's America, I guess. So I think you've done a really good job. I could also see some things, if we want to, that we can amend slightly. But when I'm listening to the audience, I'm hearing that not everybody can make a complaint. Not true. I'm hearing that only the person or the victim can make a complaint. Not true. So I think they did a really good job, and we should possibly make a change or two. And as far as conducting you know, in government, everything moves slow. You know what else happens in government? We can make changes. This policy was done a few years ago. We're talking about an update. Maybe the new council wants to make another update. But do we just not do things? Do we just stop and not do things? Sometimes steps are okay.
So,
Catherine.
so I want to, I'm mindful of 2 things that hit me really hard when they were mentioned. I don't know how we missed how we left out public communication to council on the first page of council guidelines. I have that double starred. My apologies. We've got all the way through here, council guidelines for communications. We just missed that, and I can put that in. It's a simple fix. The other thing is, I don't know how I missed the 4th bullet point, which was the first bullet point in the preamble, comply with both the letter and the spirit of the laws and policies.
It was redundant. We had it in the preamble. I think that's why we pulled it out.
Oh, you're
It's
right,
because
okay. So it's redundant, it's repetitive. So in the interest of not trying to make this into what was a 15-page document and a 17-page document, we tried to remove some of the redundancies. So I can fix the public communications to council. And the last thing I will say is I've been on this council for 5 years. We have talked about redoing these guidelines ever since I got to council. Every time we say at the end of the year, council says, oh, let's kick it down the road to the next council. You know, we can be bouncing this thing around till 2027. And it will never get any better. We've been playing with this, and I agree with Rich, and then I'll go silent. This is a document that the next council can change if they choose to. They can make it more clear. They can set up an ethics committee if they choose to. But right now, we need to fix this stuff because we are stuck. This council has been stuck for 6 months dealing with frivolous ethics complaints. So go ahead, file an ethics complaint on me, folks, because it's been abused, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we bring this back to the next council meeting.
We still would have discussion even if
Okay.
with it, but okay. So we got a motion, and a second, further discussion. Richard.
So one of the things that first I want to say that what Lisa said and what Rich said was very appropriate. What Catherine said was very appropriate. What I wanted to make a motion on before Frank made a motion is I would like to see this separated into two things, the council guidelines and a second, the ethics. And I think that the council can move on the council guidelines portion, but I absolutely think that the ethics should be brought back another time. And on that note, I would invite everybody, council members and members of the audience, go to mrsc.org and search on what it says about ethics, and it gives a whole bunch of examples of cities that have done individual city ethics code, and it's very informative. I also read the RCW about ethics, and in reality, what we have witnessed, as Catherine has said, what we have witnessed is a whole bunch of frivolous ethics complaints that have nothing to do with money and gifts and the things that are actual ethics violations as outlined by the RCW. So I would like to make a motion.
We're having discussions.
I would like, before I can make a motion, we have to finish Frank's motion.
Right.
Okay, so I would like to see this broken up into two parts. And Catherine's shaking her head no, enlighten me, because I'm always willing and anxious to hear the other opinions in the room.
Well, do we have any more discussion? Because we do have a motion. Allison, did you have?
Yeah, being a part of this ad hoc committee, our intent was to make this something that made sense for filing. Like Catherine has said, everybody knows there have been so many complaints filed that are not true ethics complaints. Liking a Facebook post, looking at somebody the wrong way, talking in the wrong tone of voice. There are just all these things that have been done. And our goal was to make something that was clear and made sense. I mean, I was a proponent when I went into this ad hoc, and I said, you know what? Forget it. Throw it out. Let's just go with the state guidelines. Go with the state ethics complaints. And I'm kind of at that point right now to go back to that. Because what I have heard and the accusations made, I am not happy about. And yes, those of you can say I'm throwing another temper tantrum or whatever. And you can laugh. But the work that has been done by Catherine and Lisa and myself was to make things better and to make more sense. And for you have elected people on this council Yes, I was appointed to this council. But as a member, we are listening for what people want. And when we have had ethics complaints filed, like Rich said, fifth, sixth hand, people that were nowhere around when certain things happened. It is absolutely ridiculous, and that is the kind of stuff we are trying to prevent.
Okay, so we have any more discussion? Richard?
I have one more comment that I wanted to throw out there. How many times have we heard the council is violating the 30-day rule that they imposed? Not true. Has never been true. What the ethics currently says is that the ethics committee has 30 days after it has been brought to the ethics committee, not when it has been brought to the city council. And so many of the complaints I have heard in this discussion and read, the people don't understand what we're actually talking about, it appears. So anyway, that's what I had to say.
Okay. Lisa?
Just one, you had asked a question of why shouldn't we separate those? What we're trying to do is we have two different policies in two different places, and we're trying to make it as a council guidelines document, including ethics. We want one document that is our place to go for what we have. And this was our suggestion, and we're having a conversation about it. If you don't like it, great, change it. Make a motion to change it. But we did this for clarification and ease of reference. So you're not going from one place to the other to find what our guidelines are, including ethics.
Richard?
Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table, and the table is to bring it back at the next council meeting. So,
So
Catherine.
I do want to speak to the motion. Nothing is going to change between then and now. This isn't an ordinance. At some later date, it can be changed by another council. But we've kicked the can down the road on this long enough. I will vote no on bringing it back. I want us to vote today.
Okay. Rich?
What about a couple of those changes on paper that need to be done?
They would, when we submit the final, it will include that public communications between board reports and staff reports. That's the one that was, I don't know how I missed it. It had to have been a brain bubble.
Okay. Frank?
I think that we should be passing a complete document. To be passing it, it's not complete, and just a better reason to bring it back at the next meeting. You'll have time to make the corrections.
Okay. Any further discussion before we vote on Richard?
So I appreciate what Councilmember Elduen is saying, but I also appreciate what Catherine is saying. And I would like us to get something concrete down, and this is a great start. And we can come back at the very next council meeting and convene another ad hoc committee to tweak the existing guidelines. So I'm with Catherine. Let's vote on this.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? Okay, so So the motion is that we're going to bring this back at the next council meeting. So we'll make no decisions tonight. So that's the motion, right, Frank?
That's it.
Okay. So all in favor of Frank's motion? Yeah. Say, are you in favor of Frank's motion? Okay. So can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Noble.
Abstain.
Councilmember Noble abstains. Councilmember Sprigg.
No.
Councilmember Sprigg is a no. Councilmember Elduen.
Yes.
Councilmember Elduen is a yes. Councilmember Cline.
No.
Councilmember Cline is a no. Councilmember Scott.
No.
Councilmember Scott is a no. Councilmember Wills.
No.
Councilmember Wills is a no. Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. That's 2 yeses, 4 noes, and 1 abstention.
Okay. So someone, either we make a motion because you want to vote on it, or
I make a motion approving the city council guidelines as a whole document.
Second.
okay, discussion. Frank?
I can't vote for this because it's not complete. It has errors in it. And I think we should bring back a complete, correct document to vote on.
Okay.
It
Catherine?
wouldn't be the first time that we've brought back we voted on something and passed it with needing one change.
Sarah?
Without being disrespectful, we have to have the audience volume come down. We're missing what council members are saying on the radio and on the live feed. So,
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? So all in favor of, and we're passing the document as is.
With the one change on
With-
public communications.
Got it. Okay. So all in favor? Okay, could we have a roll call?
Councilmember Noble.
Abstain.
Councilmember Noble abstains. Councilmember Sprague.
Yes.
Councilmember Sprague is a yes. Councilmember Eldwin.
No.
Councilmember Eldwin is a no. Councilmember Cline.
Yes.
Councilmember Cline is a yes. Councilmember Scott.
Yes.
Councilmember Scott is a yes. Councilmember Wills.
Yes.
Councilmember Wills is a yes. Councilmember Hartman.
Yes.
Councilmember Hartman is a yes. That's 5 yeses, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Okay. All right. So our... Could you please leave? Okay. So the next thing that we're going to move on is executive session.